Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Today's video is a book related video if you did not notice from the title or even the thumbnail, and I am combining two different videos into one. It will be my what I read in July and also my to be read in August. Here is every book that I read in July, and I do have a pretty decent stack for what I want to read in August as well. Before I get into the video, I want to do a little backstory. In 2021, I originally wanted to go on a no-buy for buying books and also just read the ones that I had with me in our apartment at the time. I was already pregnant, and by April of 2021, I was a new-time mom, and also we were moving that month all the way across country, so I ended up not reading probably even 5 books. In 2021, I was still adjusting to new life, and also with us moving, I was more focused on moving and unpacking. So in 2022, I decided to continue with that no-buy for the most part and also try and read every book that I do own. So a lot of these are unique, older, or even the most random books you've probably ever seen in your life, and some of them are like really popular books, but 10 years ago even. So with that all out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into today's video. The first book that I'm going to go over for what I read in July is Beside Still Waters by Tracy V. Bateman. This is a Christian romance or Christian fiction, and I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. How I go with my ratings are pretty much 4 stars are only if I was super intrigued and wanted to kind of read it, but it wasn't as good as to keep me up all night reading. Also, if I could remember it from like 10 years from now, then yes, definitely a 5 stars. If I forgot it within a week or less, definitely just a 4-star read. But this book was one of the many books. There's probably 3 books that I read in July that actually came from the same spot. This is a book from Half Price Books, and at the time my mom and I would go there and they would have these big giant bags for $5, $10, and $15 filled with books, random books that they chose, and you got to buy that bag and carry it out. A lot of these small books that I do have came from that, and I've also gotten rid of over 100 books, so I have a lot. I'm not gonna read do any spoilers, but I will read the back of the book, and that way I don't give any spoilers. Eva's heart belongs to Jonesy, but when evil leaves her destroyed, Eva Riley will never be the same. Her friendship with Jonesy must end. Even if he did feel more than friendship for her, knowledge of her soiled present and tragic future would turn his love sour. Pushing him away is as much for his own good as her own. Ben, or Jonesy, Jones, is only hanging around Oregon long enough to help bring his father's crop, then back to Texas to tend to the ranchland he loves. That was the plan until a spirited young lady became part of his dreams, and now he will stop at nothing to prove his affections and make her his bride. Can romance and restoration be found beside the still waters of God's relentless love? And also on the back it has a little verse, and it says, He leadeth me beside still waters and restored my soul. Psalms 23, 2-3. I enjoyed this book, and it's a little bit different, and I do like the Christian romances. I have read only a few, and besides Nicholas Sparks, they're the only romances I've ever read, so they're definitely, I think the term is closed door, where they don't have anything too graphic or inappropriate, but I think it was definitely a short and a good read. The next book is from the author that everybody I feel like has heard of, but he was super popular, and I don't know if he's as popular, but I read one book in like 2010, and all of a sudden I had to buy as many books as I could, so I probably read about 10 books from him. But I did read next Nicholas Sparks' A Walk to Remember. I rated this 4 stars. Majority of his books are just 4 stars. There are a few, like I think Every Breath, Dear John, certain ones that are just 1 to 2 stars that I just did not like, and it was mainly because of the characters in them. But most of his books are 4 stars, and this one is just a fiction slash, technically you could say, a romance. I actually ended up reading this in 2021, and for some reason put it in my to be read pile instead of my already read pile when we packed up our apartment and headed across country. But the back of it says, there was a time when the world was sweeter, when women in North Carolina wore dresses and the men donned hats. Every April, when the wind smells of both the sea and the lilacs, London Carter remembers 1958. London had dated a girl or two and even once sworn that he'd been in love. Certainly the last person he thought he'd fall for was Jamie, the shy daughter of the town's Baptist minister. Jamie, who is destined to show him the depths of human heart and the joy Joy and Pain of Living. From the internationally best-selling author Nicholas Sparks comes his most moving story yet. The next book is from Gary Blackwood. It is The Year of the Hangman. It is basically a fiction, young adult fiction, and also it's alternate history. And I rated this 3 out of 5. It wasn't something that I was trying to stay up and read. It wasn't something that I even cared too much to read. On the back of this book, it says, in 1776, the rebellion of the colonies against British rule were crushed. Now in 1777, the year of the hangman, George Washington is awaiting execution. Benjamin Franklin's banned rebel newspaper, Liberty Tree, has gone underground, and young Crichton Brown, a 15-year-old Brit, has just arrived in the colonies. With nothing but an attitude and empty pockets, Crichton lands a job with Franklin's print shop. The English general expects the spoiled yet loyal Crichton to spy on the legendary printer. But as battle unfolds and falsehoods are exposed, Crichton must decide where his loyalties lie, a choice that could determine the fate of a nation. A different and unique read. My next book is the last book that I read in July for the Half Price Book Bundle, and this is In My Father's House by Anne Rinaldi. This is just a fiction book, and I had a theme of reading books from either the 1700s all the way through the early 1900s for some reason. The last 3 books were all around that time period, and I still have another one. So it was just a chance happen, and this book was 4 out of 5 stars for me. And on the back it says, a house divided, a nation torn asunder. Many of the fiercest battles of the Civil War were fought in the home. Ossie Mason knows this all too well. The first shots of the war were fired on her front lawn, a sign of things to come. Ossie's a proud daughter of the Old South, but her stepfather, Will McLean, thinks the world of her childhood must change. Ossie won't accept anything he has to say, and the tension between them is about to explode. To escape the war, Will McLean moves his family to a quiet town, but the war will follow them there as sure as the hurtful battles will continue in Ossie's home and in her heart. Can Ossie call a truce, or will at that she cherishes become a casualty of the war? I enjoyed this book. This was actually one of the ones that at the same time I was kind of getting really into at some points and would read really fast, and then I would put it down, not read it for like a whole day for some reason, and then get back into it and really enjoy it. My next book is of course another Nicholas Sparks book, and I read this, I'm pretty sure the first one of July. I was actually finishing this up from June, and this is See Me. It's of course a fiction romance, and I rated this as well 4 stars. The back says, see me just as I see you. Colin Hancock is giving his second chance his best shot. With a history of violence and bad decisions behind him and the threat of prison dogging up his every step, he's determined to walk a straight line. The last thing he is looking for is a serious relationship. Maria Sanchez, the hardworking daughter of Mexican immigrants, is the picture of conventional success. With a degree from the Duke Law School and a job at a prestigious firm in Wilmington, she has a seemingly flawless personal track record. Yet Maria has a traumatic history of her own. A chance encounter on a rain-swept road will alter the course of both Colin's and Maria's life. As love unexpectedly takes hold between them, they dare to envision what a future together could possibly look like. Until menacing reminders of events in Maria's past begin to surface, and rich in emotion and fueled with suspense, See Me reminds us that love is sometimes forged in the crisis that threaten to shatter us, and that those who see us for who we truly are may not always be the ones easiest to recognize. I enjoyed this book. I got into it, and I feel like Nicholas Sparks, his writing is just so easy to get into, even though I feel like he's fallen off the face of the earth, or at least people don't really read about his books anymore, but I still enjoy a majority of his books, so definitely another good read. I don't have a cover for these last 2 books because they were thrifted, or I do believe this one came from a neighbor. I read the historical fiction and also the classic Little Women, and I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. I did happen to read this one last, and it was a book that I asked my husband to pick a number 1 through I think 11, because I only had like 11 books to read, and he ended up picking number 3, which of course I had 5 days left of the week, and this is 550 pages. So in 5 days I read 550 pages, which isn't good, but also isn't that bad. But he picked the biggest book on that whole list. This is what they have for the book description. It says, generations of readers, young and old, male and female, have fallen in love with the March sisters of Louisa May Alcott's most popular and enduring novel, Little Women. Here are talented tomboy and author-to-be Joe, tragically frail Beth, beautiful Meg, and romantic spoiled Amy, united in their devotion to each other and their struggles to survive in New England during the Civil War. It is no secret that Alcott based Little Women on her own early life, while her father, the free free-thinking reformer Bronson Alcott hobnobbed with such eminent male authors as Emerson and Hawthorne. Louisa supported herself and her sisters with woman's work, including sewing, doing laundry, acting as a domestic servant, but soon discovered she could make more money writing. Little Women brought her lasting fame and fortune, and far from being the girl's book, her publisher requested it explore such timeless themes as love and death, war and peace, the conflict between personal ambition and family responsibilities, and the clash of cultures between Europe and America. Wasn't something that I enjoyed that much to hype it up. I enjoyed the other books, and I feel like also because this is a very popular book because it is a classic, and so there is a lot of hyping up. So when going into it, you get this false expectation, and then I think that's why I rated it 3 out of 5. Definitely glad that it's off my to be read. That feels like a great accomplishment. My last book that I read in July is another one without a cover, and it is American Sniper by Chris Kyle. This is a autobiography, and I love the military type style books. I've been enjoying them for many years now, and this one I rated 4 out of 5 stars. Goodreads has also for the description, from 1999 to 2009, U.S. Navy SEAL Chris Kyle recorded the most career sniper kills in United States military history. The Pentagon has officially confirmed more than 150 of Kyle's kills. The previous American record was 109, but it has declined to verify the astonishing total number for this book. Iraqi insurgents feared Kyle so much that they named him the Devil. Basically, I won't be able to pronounce the word that was actually used, and placed a bounty on his head. Kyle earned legendary status among his fellow SEALs, Marines, and U.S. Army soldiers, whom he projected with deadly accuracy from rooftops and stealth positions, gripping and unforgettable. Kyle's masterful account of his extraordinary battlefield experiences ranks as one of the great war memoirs of all time. I enjoy this book. I also enjoyed Unbroken. I have, in one of my other YouTube videos, I have A Pink Mist. There was another history type book revolving around the military, and I do believe that if you are in the United States, you need to actually start reading these types of books and not just all the fiction. You need to get more history, not necessarily just these, but definitely some actual real nonfiction, especially some with history. But I know a lot of people on Goodreads actually complained about this book, because when I went on there to get the description, I seen a lot of 1-star comments just because of how they personally felt with wars and stuff. I enjoyed the book, so if you want to read it. Next we have my to be read pile, and like I said, it's a little close to the same. It's around 6 books, and I'm almost finished with 2 of them, so let's go ahead and jump on in. The first book is the one that currently I have less than 50 pages left. I should have probably finished it, but it is one that I got at a Scholastic book fair when I was probably in middle school, and it is War Horse. I've never read it. It is a war story and fiction, and the back of it says, it is 1914 and Joey, a farm horse, is sold to the army and thrust into the midst of World War I. On the Western Front, when Joey is dragged away, his hearts ache for Albert, the farmer's son he is forced to leave behind. In the army, the beautiful red bay horse is trained to charge the enemy, drag heavy artillery, and carry wounded soldiers not much older than Albert off the battlefields. Amongst the clamoring of guns and while plodding through the cold mud, Joey wonders if the war will ever end, and if it does, if he will ever find Albert again. So the one thing I will say about this book is, right off the bat, you are actually not in a point of view from some specific character except for the horse Joey, and I think that's really cool because I feel like for the most part it's either third person or first person for the person who owns a horse and never in the horse's perspective. So I'm hoping this is going to be at least a 4-star. Like I said, I have a lot of these books, so this next one is a romance fiction, and it is The Choice by Nicholas Sparks. The back says, Travis Parker has everything a man could want: a job, loyal friends, even a waterfront home in a small town, North Carolina. In full pursuit of the good life, boating, swimming, and barbecues with his close buddies, he holds the vague conviction that a serious relationship would only cramp his style. That is until Gabby Holland moves in next door. Despite his attempts to be neighborly, the attractive redhead seems to have a grudge against him. Still, Travis can't stop trying to ingratiate himself with his new neighbor. His persistent efforts lead them both to the doorstep of a journey that neither could have foreseen, spinning the eventful years of young love, marriage, and family. The choice ultimately confronts us with the most heart-wrenching question of all: how far would you go to keep the hope of love alive? This next book is another, I feel like, really unique. I think I found this at a thrift store, and I thought the cover was really cool and kind of interesting. The author is Tatiana de Rosnay, and it is Sarah's Key. It is a historical fiction, and the back says, Paris of July 1914, Sarah, a 10-year-old girl, is taken with her parents by the French police as they go door to door arresting Jewish families in the middle of the night. Desperate to protect her younger brother, Sarah locks him in a bedroom cupboard, their secret hiding place, and promises to come back for him as soon as they are released. 60 years later, Sarah's story entwines with that of Julia Jarman, an American journalist investigating the roundup. In her research, Julia stumbles on a trail of secrets that linked her to Sarah and to questions about her own romantic future. The next one is also a historical fiction, a Christian romance, and also a Western fiction. The Legend of Storey County, and the back of this says, it seemed to Townsend that it was like climbing on a time machine, not an old newspaper, not an ancient dusty book, but a real human memory that reached back 100 years ago. Maybe you should start wherever you like, he said. Have a glass of tea, Jen Canfield said, indicating a pitcher and tumbler beside his elbow. This may take a while. In 1938, Seth Townsend, a reporter for the San Francisco Examiner, arrives in Nevada to cover a story of the last run of the Virginia Truckee Silver Short Line Railroad. Searching for information, Townsend is directed to 100-year-old Jim Canfield, the living legend of Storey County. In Canfield, he discovers a motherlode of epic tales of escape from slavery, New Orleans, Baldy houses, Mississippi River boats, Civil War battles, rebel plots against the Union, and adventures with Sam Clemens, the young Mark Twain. The Legend of Storey County takes you back to the 1860s when the horrors of the Civil War and the fabulous bonanza silver mines of the early West were on a collision course. Jim and his friend Sam flee the troubles of Missouri to shake their claim to the richest vein of silver in the West, but fantastic misadventures and a conspiracy wait for them in the wild hills of Nevada. The saga of the western frontier and the hardy men who came to seek their fortunes is told with flair worthy of Mark Twain himself. I just enjoyed the cover, and apparently westerns and turn of the century and before books are something that I keep picking up on, since this is another book set in 1938 and then goes back to 1860s. And then the last two books, I'm not going to say they're a series, but they do go together, and they are both ones that I bought at Hobby Lobby many years ago. This one is the Magnolia story of Chip and Joanna Gaines. That tells you how long ago it was. It was when they first basically came out with this book. This is an autobiography, Christian literature. Same with autobiography on capital gains. This is apparently just from Chip himself. The back says, sometimes the messiest stuff and the biggest mistakes can take you someplace wonderful. With the help of their hit TV show Fixer Upper, the husband and wife team of Chip and Joanna Gaines have transformed the seemingly everyday work of renovating homes and flipping houses in Waco, Texas into something much more. With their fun personalities, good humor, strong love and family, and unique design style, they managed to capture the hearts of Americans from all walks of life. It happened so quickly. Their ever multiplying fan base has left to wonder, who are these people? Where did they come from? What's their secret to success? And should I pack up and move to Waco? From the very first renovation project they ever tackled together to the project that nearly cost them everything, the Magnolia story offers a peek behind a curtain of who Chip and Joanna are today. The first book also includes stories and photos from the childhood memories and shaped them in the twists and turns that led them to the life they currently share on the farm with their 4 kids and countless farm animals, and in their ever-expanding roles as entrepreneurs, designers, and good neighbors. I find it really funny. I also love how they mention God a lot in here, or at least Joanna does a lot, and so hopefully, I have not read this one, but hopefully Capital Gains is just as good. You'd best read this. In the semi-humble account of a man on a mission, Chip Gaines is living proof that one's fearless dedication and love for both business and family can redefine modern success. With his unrelenting spirit as both a coach and a trailblazer, a few off-the-wall strategies to get things done, and the boldness to go all in, time and time again, Chip Gaines serves as a fitting poster child for entrepreneurs and risk takers the world over. Here is the honest and often humorous account of Chip's personal journey in both business and in life. You can consider this his personal playbook too. There's a decent chance you're going to find something you need in here too. And then it has a little quote from him on the back end. It says, your purpose is just like mine. It's big and it's important, and there's no one else anywhere on the planet who can fulfill it, so quit messing around and get them done. That is all my books for July, and also hopefully for August. Hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see y'all next week, and God bless.